Good morning, it's Tuesday the 16th of April and we're just starting our weekly Q&A session. I hope you're doing well. This is the first time that you've seen it, my name is Helena Hall and we have a sort of Q&A Tuesday every week in our Conscious Transformation membership. I'm also going to share this on YouTube just in case it helps other people with the similar sort of questions and answers. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can have a little look at some of the questions that we've got today. Okay, so hopefully everything is sharing. So the first one is what role does daily affirmations play in transforming our mindset, and how can we create effective affirmations? So the first thing I really wanted to say is that affirmations alone have no innate power to create. It's not like it's some sort of you say I have money and then it creates it. It's actually what it facilitates and changes within us that is where the power of affirmation lies. So it's essentially how affirmation in two different instances can be used to facilitate change in our thinking. Ultimately, we need to unlock the belief of what it is that we're trying to change and resolve that conflict. So, for example, if I am feeling or thinking that I am poor and I am saying the affirmation, I have financial abundance, we really need to unlock and find what's the cause of that feeling. And so affirmations can help us to start to loosen that grip in that thinking. So by saying I am financially abundant, sometimes it might, or whatever it is that you've got, sometimes it might be the first time that you've allowed yourself to say those words. So it can feel very disconnected, you can feel very alien to that concept. And so that's where affirmations are great in inching us forward to that state of that new reality. So this is really a first step, and eventually when you've changed your thinking, it's at that point that affirmations can then be used in the sort of the second approach. So just kind of going through how I would use affirmations. So for example, let's say you're feeling like you want to create financial abundance. First of all, you need to highlight how disconnected from that reality are you. So do you really, when you say I am financially abundant, or I have X amount of money, I have wealth, I have a lot of disposable income, when you say those words, how disassociated or how negative do you feel when you're saying those words? If you do feel disconnected, that's the opportunity for you to then look at it and say, okay, well, why do I feel that way? And if you can, go back and have some time to, whether it's meditate or to just reflect inwardly or journal, what it is that you are really holding on to. So perhaps you've got some past traumas, or perhaps you've got some habitual or cultural or family upbringing situations that have surrounded you for a long time, that have kept you in a sort of a relationship with, for example, in this instance, money. So how does that feel? And using the affirmations as a sense check for yourself, so you can create the long list of affirmations that you want to achieve, and as you say them, and you monitor how you say them and how you feel over time, do you get more closely comfortable with that tone? And it's really a tool for us. When we have spent that time and we have looked into what is it that's holding us back, where is that negative feeling coming from, what hurdles do we have to unpick, and we can do that in the classrooms where you've got changing your mindset or limiting beliefs. If you look at some of those resources and really pull those apart, that's where you can start changing some of those beliefs. But once you've done that, that's at the point where affirmations can be really helpful as a way of reprogramming your mind. So first of all, you do have to find what's the problem, what's the hurdle, and then unpick it. And then the second part of affirmations is reprogramming it. So, for example, throughout your day, once you've gone through the hurdles and you're feeling like, yes, I now want to surround myself with the future I am creating more often than the situation I'm in. So, for example, perhaps you have a lot of financial stress and worries. If you're focusing in on your financial stress and worries and you're thinking about that all the time throughout your day, you're only going to create more of the same. What we focus on expands. What we think about, we create. So affirmations on the second part is really as a tool to help us to focus in on creating what we want. So if you said over and over and again, I am a successful entrepreneur, I have a successful business, I have financial abundance, money comes to me easily and effortlessly, throughout your day, that's a good balancing act of the current situation that you're in. So if you're thinking, as I just mentioned, what you focus on expands, if you're spending more time focusing and thinking of the positive abundance and the feelings associated with it, then you're ultimately going to create more of that. And it's not just about having the words. So when you would say, I have financial abundance, saying those words just as words does nothing. You have to tune into those words, the feeling of the reality of those words. So what would it feel like if you did have financial abundance? So that feeling of freedom, the feeling of happiness, the feeling of opportunity, the feeling of easy going, not having any fear, of knowing that you're able to look after yourself. All of those feelings are what you need to really pull out and expand on as you're saying the affirmations throughout your day. So I hope that helps. The second one, so can you share techniques for maintaining spiritual growth amid professional and personal responsibilities? So I guess, first of all, that depends on what you feel is defined as spiritual growth. Let me just see if I can, I presume you're just looking at my screen and I can give you myself a little bit longer. So yes, I guess it depends on what you're defining as spiritual growth. If, as I see it, it's personal development, then that's what I'll touch on now. But so the question is, can you share techniques for maintaining spiritual growth amid professional and personal responsibilities? So I'm assuming that it's not meaning the sort of the religious, educational element, i.e. studying that growth. So let's take it that it does mean sort of your personal development. I've always found that it's so much easier to foster that growth if it's a passion and I follow my joy. So for the first thing really is it shouldn't feel like it's a burden. It should feel like it's an opportunity for you to learn and explore. So trying to foster that excitement, trying to find ways in which you can feel really excited to carry out your personal development, to grow, to change, and whatever that would mean for you. So what would it mean if you were to grow spiritually or develop personally? And then allow yourself to feel those passions and then follow what feels like the most connected to joy. So do you feel you need to go and visit a Waterstones? Do you feel like you need to sign up on a course? Do you feel like you need to take 15 minutes a day or a month to meditate? Now, as you dive into your sort of unconscious habits or subconscious behaviours and address what you don't want to continue and sort of grow, and this is part of our course in all of the different processes, your spiritual growth, your emotional intelligence, and ultimately your personal development journey is going to start to take on a life of its own. And if you're open and if you have faith that you'll be in the right place at the right time, then it's really just going to escalate. So I think it's really important when you're on this journey to ultimately have belief that life is supporting and working for you, and then have faith in yourself. So sometimes that can be a bit of a hurdle. And I do think those two things, that ultimately having belief that life is supporting and working for you, and then having faith in yourself. So if you're looking for spiritual growth, and ideally you want to facilitate it supporting you and growing and you being in the right place at the right time, you have to really address those two things. So if you think on those two things, belief that life will support you and look after you, and that you have faith in yourself, if you have resistance around those areas, I think that's a really good opportunity for you to explore what are your feelings around that topic and see what comes up. So and then aside for it, depending where you're coming from with this question, if you're thinking for more strategies of how to fit it in and how do you do it, and what kind of amount of time do you need, it really depends on your schedule, whether it's a daily, weekly or monthly time that you can fit in just to dedicate to yourself. Now I think all of those are fine. So if you've only got monthly time, obviously monthly time will probably be a longer slot, but also weekly or daily could be shorter. But the key thing is to put it in the calendar, mark it off as if it's a doctor's appointment, or and take yourself away if you can, whether it's dedicated time in your home or if it's out at a coffee shop or whatever. Try and find a place where you can start to cultivate that sort of self-care routine or your spiritual practice as if it was a task, a chore, a job, a role that you had to do, that you had to carry out. I'm just going to share the questions again. So how can one handle the sense of guilt associated with taking time for self-care and development? So I've historically struggled with this myself, to the point where I didn't even see that it was an issue not to take time for myself. I had no real sense of myself, where I was really ultimately focused on everybody else. I still, to a large extent, am, but I have learned, first of all, I found my sense of self, and I am regularly nurturing it, and it has been transformative for me. So I do think that it's really important for you to do this and make it a priority in your life. So from a sense of guilt, one thing that I've learned is that, and I have lots of people say to me, you can't love yourself, or you can't love anyone else unless you love yourself. And I have to be honest, it was really difficult to take that in and really believe it. So maybe perhaps that's where you're coming from. So what I wanted to say is that I've learned that you have to show up for you to show up as your best self, whether that is at work, whether that's as a parent, whether that's as a friend. In order for you to be able to genuinely offer what you're fully capable of to other people, you really have to look after yourself first. And it's very similar to the saying or the analogy where you have to put on your own oxygen mask first before you help another. It is so true that you have to do that. So when you're feeling the guilt, just remind yourself that even though you may not be able to feel that what I'm saying is true, that you're going to follow that instruction because everybody says that it is true, and you're going to learn for yourself that it is true. And I think you can test this. So I'm somebody that loves to test and learn, and the one way of kind of getting a better sensation of a reduction in guilt is to test and learn in this. So, for example, limit yourself to some time frames, whether that's 7 days or that's 30 days or 21 days, and give yourself a time frame which you are going to test this, and dedicate time to yourself and see the outcome. See how you giving time to yourself enables you to show up for others. And in that, I presume, if the guilt is coming from sort of taking away from other people, that you will see that actually when you fill up your own cup first, that you are more able and capable to give more and support other people better. I think it's really important to look at the guilt, because even doing this, that sort of approach that is treating a symptom, really. So you have to ideally look behind and see, when did you first start feeling guilty or not prioritising yourself? Now those things, especially with myself, it often starts in childhood, and it could be modelled unconsciously from our parents or our caregivers, or potentially from a lack of love or rejection as a child. And often in the child's mind, they internalise everything as if it's their own fault, and that's a coping mechanism and very natural. But what that effectively does is, if there's a problem where the child has been abandoned or not loved or not cared for or supported in the way that was needed, they internalise it that it's their fault. And therefore, we as adults have often lost sight of our own value, and that's the root cause of this issue of the guilt for looking after yourself. It's kind of a polar opposite as well for people that are more narcissistic or have those tendencies or are very self-centered. It's coming from a similar place, but it's just a different reaction, and it's more of a protective reaction. So in both of those extremes, it's really important to have self-compassion, have self-love, to recognise what you found, to recognise the problem, and give yourself time to work on it. Spend time journaling, spend time thinking about it, dissecting, and then choose. I think the huge thing here is making a choice. So making a choice to do something differently, therefore it enables life and circumstances and serendipity to come and support you. And then the final question, as a working mum, I'm always finding myself busy with no real time for myself. How did you manage to juggle it all and consciously create? Any tips for getting started? Let me just check that you're back on my screen. You are. Okay, so yes, so I really want to make 2024 and beyond my best year, so I am dedicated. I just need to find a way of making it all manageable. So I have been there and really felt that juggling sort of, busy work life, busy personal life, children, and lots of different responsibilities. And there are some tips that I've learned over the years which I found helpful with getting into a routine. So the more routine you can make it, the easier things get. So I always found that I would do my conscious creating in bed. As a mum, there's so much for me to do. I'm constantly juggling multiple conversations going on at the same time, trying to cook, trying to clean, trying to get ready for school, for work, for all these different things. So really my only space is the bedroom when everybody else is in bed. But that could be in another scenario for you. So I would always do it before getting out of bed, so a little bit earlier than I needed to, wake up and then do my conscious creating, and also at the end of the day before sleep. I'd also do, when I have my shower, that's a fantastic time for reinforcing your vision of what you're creating, getting yourself into that same resonance with what you're creating. So it's a great time to visualise and really feel the emotions of what you're creating. And it's a great, if you have a shower in the beginning of the day, as I do, it's a great start to your day. You're feeling positive, you're seeing your future outcome, you're feeling it as if it's already there, you've got all these great emotions. So the shower's a great time. I also, and I put this in the membership group, so we're now all doing sort of the noon, midday, 1 minute of visualising. You could also do gratitude, because I used to do that a lot. So I have AM first thing in the morning. I would be grateful. Shower, I would do my visualizations. Midday, I would have either a moment of gratitude or vision, and I'd share that with being mindful. So if I've got a few more minutes, if I can pop out for lunch or go for a walk, if there's anything I can do, it's about trying to contain and maintain and stimulate that mindfulness, that sense of peace, that sense of satisfaction and gratitude and peace. And then in the PM, before bed, that's when I would do my practice, whatever that looked like. So whether that was goals, whether it was dissecting anything, trying to understand, reflect, to read, that's when I would do that. And then in addition to that, maybe this is a little bit too much, but I am, and I still do, I'm always listening to something. So whether it is, historically, I'm always listening to something. So whether it's like podcasts and audiobooks, I still do all of that. But now I try and have silence. I try and add in some silence throughout my day. And this is kind of a tip for perimenopause. When you're going through perimenopause, it's really important, more than ever, to have those times of peace, to bring down and lower your cortisol. So where I would historically always be listening to something, learning something, now I take those silent periods in order to think about lowering my heart rate, lowering my pace of thinking, trying to feel my body, trying to feel at peace. So it depends on where you're at, what it is that works for you, and how you can fit it into your day. Okay, so I hope that has answered your question, and I hope that you have a lovely, lovely rest of your week. All right, you take care. Bye.